Sydney Sweeney is one of the biggest names in Hollywood, period. She's a two-time Emmy nominee who has taken the industry by storm, known for her captivating roles in massive hits like Euphoria and The White Lotus. She's a producer, a bona fide movie star headlining films like the blockbuster rom-com Anyone But You, and a fashion icon. But the story of how her career began isn't one of glitz and glamour. It doesn't start in a fancy acting school or with a lucky Hollywood connection. It starts with a bizarre, low-budget zombie movie, a skeptical family, and a 5-year business plan that would change everything. So, what really happened on the set of Sydney Sweeney's first film that convinced her parents to let her chase a nearly impossible dream? The answer is stranger and far more inspiring than you might think. Long before she was walking red carpets, Sydney Sweeney was a girl growing up in a rural, lakeside home in the Pacific Northwest on the border of Washington and Idaho. Her mother was a lawyer and her father worked in hospitality, and they raised their kids with a healthy dose of skepticism about the entertainment industry. For a girl from a small town, becoming an actress felt about as realistic as becoming a princess. But Sydney was different. She wasn't just a dreamer. She was a doer. From a young age, she was incredibly determined, doing everything from the math club and robotics team to combat sports like taekwondo and kickboxing. So when an independent movie started shooting in her area, she saw her shot. She wanted to audition for a real part, not just as an extra. Her parents, however, were not on board. They saw acting as a fairy tale and a risky, unstable path. And this is where the story takes its first wild turn. Any other kid might have pleaded, cried, or just given up. But 11-year-old Sydney Sweeney? She built a PowerPoint presentation. She drafted a detailed 5-year business plan that laid out exactly what could happen if her parents let her audition. She mapped out her potential career path, her goals, and how she'd navigate the industry. It was so serious, so thoroughly researched, that it showed her parents this wasn't just some whim. It was a career ambition. Faced with that level of preparation, they made a deal. They said yes. The movie that came to town was called ZMD Zombies of Mass Destruction. Released in 2010, this was no Hollywood blockbuster. It was a low-budget, indie horror comedy filmed on location in the small, picturesque town of Port Gamble, Washington. The film itself is a curious piece of cinema. Made in the shadow of the post-9/11 political climate, it's a broad satire that skewers everything from xenophobia to homophobia, all set against a zombie apocalypse supposedly triggered by bioterrorism. The plot follows a group of characters who have to confront not only flesh-eating zombies, but also the prejudices of their small-town neighbors. It's a film where the social commentary is just as biting as the zombies. With a budget of less than $1 million, the production was a classic indie affair, relying on a local cast and a small dedicated crew. There were no A-list stars or massive trailers, just a group of filmmakers working to bring a strange, ambitious, and deeply satirical vision to life. This was the world Sydney Sweeney was about to step into for her very first film role. It was a far cry from the glamour of Hollywood, and in many ways the perfect test. After successfully pitching her 5-year plan, Sydney landed an audition and was cast in ZMD as a young girl named Lisa. Her part was tiny, but its dark comedy was memorable. What really happened on that set wasn't some big drama or scandal. The real story is what Sweeney did there. At just 11 or 12 years old, she wasn't just a kid playing pretend. She was a professional. She was on a working film set, surrounded by gory special effects and a satirical plot that probably went over her head. The experience even became a small family affair, as her younger brother Trent also appeared in the film as an uncredited zombie boy. This wasn't some sanitized Disney production. It was an indie horror flick with a sharp political edge. And for Sydney, it was everything. She was seeing firsthand how movies were made, how actors and crew worked together, and what it took to perform on camera. She was observing, learning, and proving, not just to the filmmakers but to her watchful parents, that the girl with the business plan meant business. Her professionalism, even in such a bizarre environment, was the ultimate proof of concept. The experience on ZMD, Zombies of Mass Destruction, was the catalyst. It was the tangible proof her parents needed that their daughter's dream wasn't just a fantasy. It was a viable, though difficult, profession that she was approaching with real maturity. That strange little zombie movie unlocked the next phase of her career, but it came at a tremendous cost. Convinced of her potential, the Sweeney family started making the grueling 19-hour drives from Washington to Los Angeles for auditions. When Sydney was 13, recognizing this was unsustainable, they made the life-altering decision to relocate to LA, but the move put immense strain on the family. Sweeney has since opened up about these difficult years, revealing the family had to live in a motel for a time. The financial pressures were immense, ultimately contributing to her parents filing for bankruptcy and getting a divorce. Sweeney carried the weight of her family's sacrifice. She's recalled the immense pressure to succeed so their struggles wouldn't be for nothing. This period wasn't about chasing fame. It was about survival and validating the incredible faith her family had shown. A journey that all started with a PowerPoint and a zombie movie. With her foot in the door, Sydney began the slow climb up the Hollywood ladder. Her first TV roles came in 2009 with small spots on shows like Heroes and Criminal Minds. For years, she took whatever part she could get, appearing in series like Grey's Anatomy and Pretty Little Liars. She has described some of these early jobs as really shitty projects that sometimes paid as little as $100 a day, but she never stopped working. Then in 2018, nearly a decade after her debut, the momentum shifted. She landed a main role in the beloved Netflix series Everything Sucks. That same year, she landed roles in two critically acclaimed shows at once, playing the pious and tragic Eden in Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale and the troubled Alice in HBO's Sharp Objects. From there, her rise was meteoric. In 2019, she was cast as Cassie Howard in HBO's cultural phenomenon, Euphoria. Her portrayal of the emotionally volatile teen became a global talking point. Soon after, she starred as the sharp-tongued Olivia Mossbacher in the first season of HBO's smash hit The White Lotus. In 2022, all that hard work paid off in an extraordinary way. She received 2 Emmy nominations in the same year, one for Euphoria and one for The White Lotus. Her career has only accelerated. She starred opposite Glenn Powell in the 2023 romantic comedy Anyone But You, a film she also executive produced that became a massive box office success, grossing over $220 million worldwide. That same year, she delivered a critically lauded performance as whistleblower reality winner in the HBO film Reality, with critics calling her the real deal. From a girl with a PowerPoint presentation to a 2-time Emmy nominee and a powerhouse producer, Sydney Sweeney's journey is a testament to sheer determination. The story of what really happened on her first film set isn't one of scandal, but something far more powerful. It's the story of how a bizarre, low-budget zombie comedy became the unlikely proving ground where a young girl proved her passion to her skeptical parents. ZMD, Zombies of Mass Destruction wasn't a glamorous debut, but it was the most important one. It was the first yes on a path she meticulously planned herself. It's a wild reminder that sometimes the strangest beginnings lead to the most extraordinary destinations, and that a dream, when backed by a business plan, can be powerful enough to take on anything, even a horde of the undead. What did you think of Sydney Sweeney's unusual start in Hollywood? Are there other celebrity origin stories you'd like us to uncover? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the stories you thought you knew.